On today's episode of KBB, find out how to choose the best investors for your business. Get the story behind surfboard legend Hayden Shapes and get tips from the fabulous fashion icon Carla Zampatti. Hello and welcome back to Kochie's Business Builders. Like you, we've been off the air for a month or so, enjoying all that our amazing Australian summer has to offer. And wasn't it great? We hope you've had a refreshing start to 2017, recharged the batteries, and are ready to do business better than ever. Now, with Christmas and the holidays done and dusted, it's a great time to take stock and plan out the year ahead if you haven't already. Look at your marketing strategy, from digital and social media to PR and traditional, as well as cash flow forecasts, staff goals, and overall business strategy. Sit down and map it all out. There's nothing like a good planning session to get you and your team ready and raring for 2017. Sometimes it's tricky to stay enthusiastic, especially after a break in the silly season. So if you need some inspiration to get up and about, look no further than today's show. We've got surfboard shaper Hayden Shapes telling us how he got started at just 15 years of age. We also get some great advice from fashion designer and legend Carla Zampatti, and I get to answer one of your difficult business questions. Before all of that, let's learn about how and when to bring investors on board with the busy code school for kids. Ever dream that your child could be the next Mark Zuckerberg? Well, now they can be. Code Camp was started by Ben Levi and Peter Neal after their passion to teach kids to code became more than just a hobby.
Coding is just this unique language where you don't have to have good pronunciation.
You can just imagine what you want to do, think of it, and you can just do it.
My dad asked me, are you going to sell it on the App Store for millions of dollars? And I said,
right now I'm going to fix something up. So here, I'm going to get rid of all this. All of that. And just by press of one button, it's gone.
It started as a series of school holiday workshops exposing students to the world of coding and entrepreneurship, and has since gone from strength to strength. The founders now want to take Code Camp to the next stage. So we sent Jen George in to talk about how to get the right investors on board.
So Ben, tell me about Code Camp. How did you get started and where are you now?
So I was running another tech business. Kids were constantly asking me to teach them how to code, and I was not the world's best developer. Sitting opposite me in the co-working space at Fishburners was Pete Neal, who has teaching experience. And I just said to Pete, if I can put some kids in the classroom, can you teach them how to code? And let's just get started and see what happens. A week later, we had 8 students up in Kambala in Vaucluse, and it went really well. So then we decided to do it again. Then we had 12, and then 50, then 100. And what was a hobby turned into a business. And since then, in the last almost 2 years now, we've taught 10,000 students. We have 450 casual staff who are out there teaching kids to code in over 100 schools. And the aim is to teach another 75,000 students over the next 12 months.
That's fantastic. So that sounds like big plans, 75,000 more students. How are you planning on achieving that? Is it an investment? Are you going to fund it yourselves? How are you approaching this?
So with investment, it comes down to, is it dumb money, where it's just cash which we can use to build out the business? Yep. Or is there smart money, whether that be distribution to help us scale and get to our customers? Looking for investment, it's really around the education space and how can we help more students achieve more incredible things, and how can we equip them to do more?
That's great. So early stage startups obviously have to figure out their strategy and stalk the market to figure out who's the right fit from an investment point of view. You guys are obviously a bit further on. What are the key drivers within your business that you would look for in an investor rather than just dumb money, as you said?
I think what we'd be really looking for is someone who has the experience of successfully taking a business which has got to a certain size and then helping it grow to 10 times that or 100 times that and keeping the quality.
From my point of view, when you're looking through, I guess, the people who are approaching you to invest within your company, there's some key things that I would always look for. Are they asking about your unit economics? What drives your business and at what cost? And then what things can you, I guess, manipulate to actually get a better return or better scale of the business? I would look at what can they actually bring to the table besides the cash. Connections is one thing, but LinkedIn is fantastic, so don't worry about the connections. There's no guarantees with an intro, right? And the third thing I'd say is always look for a good fit, because once you're married through the good and the bad and the horrifically ugly. Startup life is obviously a roller coaster, so make sure you've got a team that are really in line with your culture as well as your values.
Great advice.
We'll be back soon to find out some common mistakes people make when taking on investors. But for now, it's time for news you can use. Right now is a time of unprecedented disruption, and with technology evolving quickly, employees know they need to keep up with the pace of change. In fact, 98% of employees take personal responsibility for their professional development, and 66% are spending 3 or more hours a month on it. Despite this, 1 in 2 employees don't feel supported by their manager to improving their existing skills. Digital literacy, for example, is 3rd on the list of soft skills employees want to develop, but sits at number 10 for bosses. So if you're an employer, you need to meet staff in the middle. Skills development ensures staff can work productively, constantly improve, and hit key business outcomes. Start a conversation with your staff today around personal development and tech training. Chat about what benefits both the individual and the business, and look at areas of alignment. That way, everyone wins. After the break, we visit Hayden Shapes, who has won Surfboard of the Year 3 times with an innovative design. Do you know which board it is? Find out after the break. In the meantime, check us out on kochiesbiz.com.au. Hayden Koch started shaping surfboards when he was just 15 years old and has been making waves in the industry ever since. Now, Hayden Shapes is sold in over 70 countries worldwide, with custom manufacturing offices in both Australia and the United States. His HS Studio is a 360-degree digital custom surfboard tool, so customers can create their own boards online. We got to catch up with the cool, calm and collected Hayden to reflect on one amazing journey.
For me, it all got started here in Mona Vale. I was 15 years old and rang up the local surfboard manufacturer to do work experience, and I lined it up for my Easter school holidays, and after the school holidays I thought I was this amazing surfboard shaper, and I started the brand Hayden Shapes. I feel that over the last 20 years it's been almost just carrying out that vision and slowly progressing and learning along the way, and just going after that original vision. There's a big distinction between a hobby and a passion, and a hobby is something that you enjoy to do on weekends, and when it comes to taking risks and the pressures and the stress, you generally don't want to involve those in your hobbies. And for me, I was really passionate about surfboards. I enjoyed not only the design, the function, the testing of it, but I also enjoyed being in business and the business surrounding building surfboards. Being a surfboard shaper, there's a lot of us all around the world, and traditionally the surfboard is built from polyurethane foam and polyester resin. And my first 10 years of building surfboards was all about learning the craft of building boards with my hands. Once I had my first factory at 22 years old, I had it for about 2 years, and I really perfected my style of building a board in the traditional method. But I saw that as something that was only going to carry me so far, and I needed a unique point of difference. So I decided to think of different ways that I could build the board and different materials to construct the board out of. The prototyping and R&D phase is all about looking for a better way to not only build the board, but also the feeling that it gives to the surfer. And if I can improve that experience, that's what sparks the ideas. And I get a lot of other influences outside of the industry, and I like the challenge of thinking and seeing ways that other people have done certain designs or approach certain designs in their industries and then apply those back into the surfboard world that I live in. And that's always a challenge, and it's not always possible, but it leads you down a path of innovation and also progression within building boards. Innovation to me is about a progressive step forward that improves the product that better than it's ever been improved before. And it's not just one improvement, it'll be measurably better on a number of different angles. I'm most proud of the FutureFlex technology and probably the Hypno-Crypto model that I've designed. And those two, as a combination, have gone on to win Surfboard of the Year twice in Australia and win Surfboard of the Year in America. It's been an amazing achievement to see the product, be sold all around the world and to be underneath a lot of people's feet. And the thing that excites me most is that the surfers' experience and how they've enjoyed riding the product. I feel like Hayden Shapes has been successful in our growth because of the key principles that we've applied to all the things that we like to do, and that's design, performance, innovation. And it's around those key principles that I've approached all areas of the business, whether it be coding the back-end databases, using Google as our text package to run and operate the business, or adopting the latest manufacturing techniques and materials. I feel for other entrepreneurs, finding things in your own life that you're passionate about, as well as applying those to a product or a service that you personally are extremely interested in, is going to set a really good foundations for building a business. I feel that once you identify your core values personally, you can apply that to the business and then build upon that. My advice for my younger self would be stay naive, and I feel like that was one of my strengths when I was young. I didn't understand what it meant to be in business, but I wanted to be in business and I loved the idea of being in business, and I still do. It's definitely, I'm more experienced now and I definitely do know a lot more, but I feel that that's been one of my strongest assets, is being extremely naive and going after everything and learning about everything in the business. So I would say stay naive and roll up your sleeves, get in amongst it all and learn about every part of the business. I love my job because I get to go out, design surfboards, build them myself, and then go test them in the surf. For me, that process, start to finish, is the most exciting. And I get to critique my work, I get to understand what's going on in the board more each time I approach the design, and it's definitely a challenge to always find a better surfboard. So for me, it's a never-ending process that I'll hopefully be 60, 70 years old still doing the same thing.
Coming up, we find out when to get investors on board in your business. While you wait, don't forget to check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Kochie'sBiz. Earlier in the show, Jen George sat down with an awesome tech company teaching kids to code. With investors knocking on their door to help them grow, Jen dished out some valuable advice on the do's and the don'ts when it comes to taking investment. Let's get back into it.
Any pitfalls that we should be looking out for with taking on investment?
Oh, definitely. People who promise you the world but have no way of showing you traction or proof of their traction today is a really worrying thing. I think there are great salespeople who can get into a business, take some equity, and then they'll add nothing to your business. So always watch out for that. A misalignment of vision and values, as corny as it sounds, can be a huge, huge error. It means that every day, every decision you're making, you're coming up against somebody who wants to create something totally different with the business, and your focus is constantly on that rather than growing your business and very, very strict on your vision and values and where you're heading. Third thing I'd say is don't always have to give equity away to get advice from people. At the end of the day, people are actually quite willing to sit down, have a coffee and kind of talk through ideas. You don't have to get married to go on a date. So get your advice from the experts that you actually need them from. Don't go to the same person for every single piece of advice. If you need financial advice, go to an accountant or a finance person. Don't go to, your dad every time, which I do. But find the right people for the right problems, and hopefully you'll get better advice moving forward.
Great advice. And at what stage would you put a board in place?
For us, we put a board in place when we took investment on. I think a board's a great thing because it keeps you, in check. It's not just you running around like headless chook every day. And it's a good headspace to kind of make those very strategic decisions that aren't, in the day-to-day operations of the business. What I will say is don't just bring anyone and everyone onto your board. Keep it clean, keep it simple, and keep it very diverse as well in thought. Because if you have all the same people with the same thought process on there, you're not going to clash and get a better result at the end of the day. So don't be afraid about that.
Thanks for the great advice.
No dramas.
Jen shared some really great tips there. The standout for me was that you don't have to give equity away to get great advice. As she said, you don't have to be married to go on a date. Then if you do bring on investors, it's about making sure they're a good fit and can bring something to the table besides cash. Really wise advice.
Hi, my name is Carla Zampatti. I'm in business, in the fashion business, the most exciting business, and I've been there for 51 years. 103 collections has been my driver. My tips for success, particularly for young designers, is be passionate about what you're getting into, but also understand that it's not that easy. Have knowledge about it. Be prepared to work harder than you ever have before. There will be tough times, but be resilient and ask for help if you need it. Understand also that if you run out of money, you won't be able to continue doing what you're doing. Surround yourself with talented, enthusiastic people, which there are many in fashion, and have fun.
Coming up, I answer one of your business questions, and we all get another top tech tip from the one and only Val Quinn. For more great advice and inspiration, check out our newsletter at kochiesbiz.com.au. See you soon. Well, thank you all for watching today. How great was Hayden Shapes, who said that finding things in your life you're passionate about is a great foundation for a business. Then it's all about identifying your own core values, then rolling up your sleeves and getting it done. We've had a great time today. Hope you've enjoyed it too. Remember to catch up on everything at kochiesbiz.com.au. Now, before we go, I've got to answer a great question from one of our viewers, and we've got another super tech tip coming up.
A 2015 study by Virgin predicts that 60% of people will work regularly from home by 2022. Remote working has undeniable benefits. You can avoid the costly overheads of office space completely and instead work with well-networked teams of remote workers. There's been a rise in the number of productivity and collaboration platforms like Slack, Asana, and Basecamp, so you can still work with a well-networked team of remote staff. Now, these platforms make the project management side of things really easy. You can assign teams, create deadlines, and communicate on progress. And they also make it easy to keep in touch with the clients and freelancers on the projects, as you can invite everyone involved to use the account. Nothing slips through the cracks, as they even work over email, so you can reply to discussions without logging in.
Time for Ask Kochie now, and today's video comes from a duo, Kerry Ann and Natalie from Carnelian Projects. Let's check out the video.
Hi, I'm Kerry Ann.
Hi, I'm Natalie.
And we're from Carnelian Projects.
And our burning question is your top tips on how we can manage our cash flow when we receive our business income sporadically throughout the financial year.
Oh, Kerry Ann and Natalie, thanks for sending in the video. It is a great question. It's a problem I have in my business as well. Cash flow is the #1 issue for small businesses, so I'm glad you asked it. Most small business owners are variable income earners, which means you can have a few good months followed by a couple of bad ones and so on. Planning and budgeting is absolutely crucial, and knowing your financial position is the key. Lots of small business owners just set and forget about the books and accounts until tax time each year. But knowing where you sit throughout the year is just so important for sporadic income earners. Track expenses over a 3-month period to see where your outgoings are and average them out. On that, another step is to prioritise expenses. There's a big difference between urgent and important bills. So before the cash crunch hits, figure out the most important expenses you have. Next up, it's about negotiating. I'm a huge advocate for negotiating the best possible deal. Don't be afraid to ask suppliers and wholesalers for a better deal. It could be deferring the whole or part of a payment, extending a due date, or giving you some leeway. The worst thing that can happen is they say no, and you can always shop around for a better deal from someone else. Equalising spending is also important. Just because a few big clients all pay in 1 month doesn't mean it's time to go on a spending spree. Spend methodically and strategically. Then it's about putting the right tech in place to deal with receipts and invoices as efficiently as possible when they do come in. Receipt Bank and Xero both have automated bookkeeping and invoicing platforms which can help save you time and hassle. If you're getting paid infrequently, it makes sense for it to be fast. If you're happy with the number of clients and amount of income you receive at the moment, that's great. But if you're looking to grow the business, get more customers and increase those figures, your number one priority should be generating more sales. It's also worth planning out cash flow management and forecasting for if and when you do make more sales, even if it's not a priority right now. And also, most importantly, follow up on invoicing. Make sure that when the due date to be paid comes around, you're onto it with friendly reminder emails or phone calls saying to a customer or supplier, hey, I'm not your bank, I want to be paid on time. Now be sure to join our newsletter at kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au for more advice and inspiration, including how to get your customers to pay faster. It's all there. See you next time. Coming up next time, finding out the secrets to great brand positioning. Budgie smugglers share their rise to success and get tips for success from Square. Hey, thanks for dropping by the KBB YouTube channel. If you want a whole lot more where this came from, press the subscribe button and it will open a Pandora's box of great videos that not only are educational, full of great advice, but also really inspiring. Just what we need as small business owners.